All right, finally, UFC 230 at the weekend. Three things, really, unless there's something I'm missing, but the biggest three fights to talk about: Adesanya, Weidman Jacare, and of course the main event. Is there anything that I'm missing there?
No.
Harrington?
No, that's what we got to talk about.
Anything, Mike.
And you're talking about, spinning wheel kicks and crazy axe kicks and all this other shit. Dude, Israel Adesanya, he's such a bad motherfucker. He is so good. Just watching, I don't think I've ever seen him fight live. First of all, he's super charismatic. Really has the crowd on his side. Really becoming a star. Whatever it was, they just weren't buying Derek Brunson. It's not even that Derek Brunson is unlikable or whatever it is. Like, they liked Adesanya so much that they were just booing the fuck out of Derek Brunson. And New York crowds are a little disrespectful, to be honest. They're booing Cormier a lot as well. But I think he's a very special athlete.
No, he is. Adesanya is a very special athlete, very charismatic, as you said. We're going to try and get him back on the show because a lot of people are messaging saying they're still waiting for Adesanya to come on. So we'll get that taken care of. Yeah, he's great. He really is. He's the real deal. But I will say this. And I'm a fan of him, so I'm not talking shit. Saturday night, and this caused a topic of conversation on the FS1 post-fight show. Adesanya was... Sorry, pardon me. Derek Brunson was like a rabbit in the headlights. To which Karen Brown told me, no, it's a deer in the headlight. Well, not if you live in fucking England, okay? In England, it's a rabbit in the headlight. Deer, you say rabbit, we say deer. So you say deer, we say rabbit, potato, whatever you want to call it, okay? Stop nitpicking on that and focus on what I'm saying. Derek Brunson was intimidated. Now, what did impress me about Adesanya was that on a couple of occasions, Brunson did get the double underhooks, which is a very, very strong position for a wrestler to get you. And Adesanya defended perfectly. But he wasn't committing. He looked like he was terrified. Listen, I'm not taking away from Adesanya. Adesanya was he was masterful, for want of a better word. He was slick. He was on point. He was charismatic. That little dance he did afterwards was awesome. The speech afterwards was cool as hell. Is it walk in the park? Nah. Walk in the garden, Madison, baby. That was very, very cool. He looks good. Your girlfriend is in love with him. I mean, what more do you want, Lewis?
Look, if I'm going to get cucked by somebody, I would rather it be Adesanya than Black Beast or any of the other slew of gigantic black men that could be cucking me. At least he's fucking trim and fucking lean. I get to feel like a man still at the end of it,
Where do you think Adesanya goes after this? What do you think should be a logical matchup?
I think he's a fight away from a title shot. He's undefeated, right? What's his record?
Yeah, he's undefeated at 13-0 now, I think, something like that. Here's what I think. Obviously, we'll get into the Jacare Weidman in a minute, but as we all know, anyone that saw it, Jacare won at the weekend. Gastelum and Whitaker, they're fighting, I think it's February in Australia. So there's a bit of time to go before that fight. And who knows if they're going to get injured in that fight. So it might be 4, 5, 6 months before another title fight happens after that. So, of course, Adesanya, he didn't even get hit at the weekend. So there's not a mark on him. So he's going to want to fight again. Of course, keep racking up those paydays, putting money in the bank and staying active and improving. When you're a fighter, the more you train, the more fight camps you have, the better you get. Simple as that. So he should stay active. I would say a fight against Jacare. Jacare won, Adesanya won. That's a logical matchup. And if Adesanya can beat Jacare, boom, then there is no question that he should be next in line for the title. I don't think Derek Brunson does it for him, if I'm honest. I don't think he's a caliber of opponent that gets him the title shot. And prior to that, no disrespect to Brad Tavares or Marvin Vettori, Brunson was a step up, and he passed that test with flying colors, but he needs another step up. And Jacare, it sounds logical. Although, if I'm the UFC, I don't know if I want to give him Jacare because, that's a tough test for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, it is, and I just don't know who else would be there that would make sense at all. I mean, I feel like anything else he might be fighting down. I'm looking for the middleweight rankings right now. I don't know if these are actually updated since the Adesanya fight. Luke Rockhold just injured, obviously. I mean, yeah, that's it, dude. Derek Brunson, this is on ESPN, was ranked number 6.
Weidman.
Just Jacare, Yoel Romero, Luke Rockhold, Gegard, who's no longer in the UFC, and Weidman wasn't even ranked above Derek. Weidman was ranked number 7 according to ESPN. So, yeah, let me see. How old is this? Yeah, this is.
I think the UFC would be crazy to match Adesanya up with Yoel Romero. I just think, in terms of wrestling, it doesn't get any better than that in the UFC. I think he'd be fearless of the power of Adesanya. And listen, I'm not trying to shit on Adesanya. He'd probably get taken down. There's a good chance of him losing that fight. And from the UFC's perspective, Yoel, he had 2 title fights back to back and lost them both. In fact, he had an interim against Rockhold and 2 against Robert Whittaker. So he had 3 shots at the title,
Yeah, those. I'm looking for the actual UFC official rankings, because that was older. That was from a few months ago. That was like 4 or 5 months ago. Yeah, I think that makes the most sense, what you just said right there. And to be honest with you, look, I don't think that he's had anywhere near the test of Jacare. Jacare is a big step up above Brunson, in my opinion. But with the way, there they are right there. So it's Yoel, Luke Rockhold, Weidman, Gastelum, Jacare, Derek Brunson, Dave Brent. Okay, so these aren't updated yet. These are before this past weekend's fights.
If Rockhold could make a recovery, Rockhold would be a good test as well. Obviously, I don't think the Rockhold Weidman rematch is going to happen anytime soon. So yeah, Jacare, Rockhold possibly. I wouldn't give him Yoel Romero because it doesn't make sense from the UFC's perspective. Why would you want to sacrifice one of your budding stars in the making in Adesanya and give him to somebody that just proved he can't win the belt? You know what I mean? So that doesn't make sense. Jacare, he proved himself Saturday night. He came back. Obviously, he lost to Whittaker and he lost to Gastelum, but he just beat Weidman. And it was a sensational fight as well. Let's just talk about that. Jacare, Weidman, well done to both of those people. Yeah, me and Weidman went back and forth over the years. He said some comments about my eye and whatnot, and I kind of spat my dummy out a little bit. But Weidman's all right. I wish him the best. And Weidman was doing well in that fight. He really was. He was controlling the fight. He won the first 2 rounds. He looked good. But what impressed me about Jacare is that he knew he was behind, and halfway through that 3rd round or whenever it was, he really started pouring the pressure on. He really went on the attack, on the offensive, putting together long combinations and just walking Weidman down. With reckless abandon, he was like, shit, well, I'm losing the fight anyway. So if I get knocked out, I'm going to get knocked out. But I've got to stop this guy to win this fight. And that's what he did. It was a right hand over the top, landed on the head, kind of on the temple, put him down. And then of course, we had that crazy, weird stoppage situation with Dan Mergliata. How was the crowd on Saturday night? When that happened, what was the reaction from the crowd, Lewis?
I don't think that they really, some people were sort of like, that looked late. Late's even a weird way to put it, like, because it was like he was already out. He should have stepped in and stopped it. It was just weird. It was a bizarre thing. He didn't really put him in any more danger. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just kind of stepped in too late. But he could have stopped it a couple seconds earlier, but he didn't get hit anymore, correct?
I mean, it was nice what Jacare did. Jacare dropped him. Weidman went down hard. And
did like a walk away.
Was he out? No, he wasn't out, but he was certainly out of it. 2 very different things, but basically resulting in the same thing. He was out of it. So Jacare, and I'll say, class act. He stood there and he's like, I don't want to hit this guy again. He's done. And he waited for the referee to stop, and Dan Mergliata was like, carry on. So then Chris Weidman, bless him, he's still trying to carry on. The guy's got heart for days. He's trying to grab the angle to do an ankle pick or something. But it was, I'm not trying to shit on Chris. He was kind of feeble. The guy was pretty much out, but he was still trying to do something, which has to be commended for. But Jacare was like, I don't want to hit this guy again. I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to do any damage. I don't want to,
Bisping. Michael Bisping would have fucking just started dropping the hammer again.
No, well, maybe. But remember look at a similar scenario, me versus Dan Henderson, the prick. Remember what he did to me? He put me down and fucking dived on me whilst I was fast asleep. So shame on Dan Henderson.
Dan Henderson, shame.
But, shame. But yeah, well done, Jacare. Unlucky Chris Weidman. It's a tricky one for Chris Weidman now. I think he's lost 4 out of his last 5. We were talking about this on the post-fight show. I mean, where does Chris Weidman go now? I think he can still make a lot of money. He can still carry on fighting. He's still one of the best middleweights in the world. I don't think he's going to be looking at a title fight anytime soon.
But
how old is he, Harrington?
He's still young. Weidman's a younger dude, right? If I had to guess, I'm going to say 33, 32.
Yeah,
34.
Sure.
34. Ooh, Michael Bisping. Michael Bisping wins. Fine. Yet again. Yeah, what do you do with him? I mean, yeah, look, obviously there's the things you say, oh, does he leave? Does he go to Bellator? You know, I think that there's something about the guys that are from New York. It's almost like another country. You know what I'm saying? We see this, you know, Dan Hardy lost, I think, like fucking 5 in a row or some crazy shit, right? But they were like, no, we really want to have dudes from England in here. And he was very marketable. He was a great fighter, very exciting fighter. Weidman is a guy from New York. He sort of represents New York well. He was the guy that probably the crowd was behind the most of the night. You know.
Yeah, because he's New York's favorite MMA fighter.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's like if I was fighting in Manchester and, okay, I wasn't the champion, but I was still fighting. I'm still from around there. And I walked into that arena, I'd probably get a very, very positive reaction as well. So, you know, there's no surprise there, Lewis.
Well, I'm just saying that I think the UFC recognizes how important of a market New York is, and you need stars that are kind of representing New York. And Chris Weidman's still a star. And it's not like he's losing. It's not like he was debatably winning the fight. I think I saw it as Jacare had the first round, Weidman had the second round, and then
you're crazy. Weidman had the first, Weidman had the second. You know, maybe the second is open for debate. The first one was definitely
I'd have
Weidman.
to go. I was hammered, by the way. I should go. I was drinking a ton of whiskey that night, so I should say I don't remember. I could be thinking of a completely different fight. I might have been thinking about the ride on the subway. I have no idea. I got pretty drunk that night. But I remember thinking it was tied going into the third. But I also remember thinking that Jacare, during the fight, just seemed more powerful and seemed like he was the he seemed just like a little bit more explosive, a little bit faster. Even though he was losing, it was almost like Chris was being more effective, whereas Jacare was being kind of the better fighter, I want to say. Or it just, I don't know. Like every time Jacare threw something, like I was like wincing, like, oh shit, this could be the shot. Whereas Chris is just a little different.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a close fight. Chris won rounds 1 and 2. He had sharper boxing. Jacare showed good head movement. Neither guy really tried to take it down to the floor. I was calling for a takedown from Chris in the third round. If he'd have got that, he'd have probably rounded out the round on top and he would have won. But it is what it is. They're about. All right, guys, let's just take a second to hear from one of our amazing sponsors. A regular for the show, betdsi.com. You know who they are, know what they're about. But if you don't, if you live under a rock, betdsi.com is an amazing sports betting platform that has been in business for over 20 years. BetDSI.com is a top-rated business on review sites, easy to use and fast-playing interface. Bet games as you go, get live in-game wagering throughout the tournament, make plays throughout entire games and events. Best thing is the customer service is available 24/7, 365. BetDSI has built a reputation on fast payment of winnings. Lewis, you love BetDSI, right?
I love them, dude. They make it the best part of all is they make it easy. It gets confusing. You don't know where your money's going. They make it really, really easy. What you have to do is when you go to betdsi.com, sign up, use the promo code BYM120. When you sign up, they got a few options. You could just play and cash out, which is fine. Or you could take bonus money, which is like getting a casino comp up front before you've played at the tables. It has a rollover requirement, but it's free cash. So meaning whatever bonus money you play with, you have to roll that over and play with a certain amount of money. So just kind of read the requirements. It's up to you. But if you just go and just play and cash out, that's fine as well. You don't actually have to take advantage of those bonuses. But if you're going to be in the sports book, which is the way that I do it, I take the bonuses because why not? It's not just a one-time thing. Use the promo code BYM120. If you bet anything up until $1,000, they're going to give you a 60% cash bonus. So basically, if you bet up to $1,000, you bet $1,000, you're going to get $1,600. $100, you get $160. Nice and simple. Make sure you use that promo code BYM120 to let them know that we sent you there and enjoy gambling.
Yeah, because sports or anything that you watch is better when you have money on the line. There's a big fight this weekend. It's the Korean Zombie versus Yair Rodriguez. I'll save my pick for Thursday, but that would be a perfect opportunity to use the fantastic deal we have going on at betdsi.com. Make it more interesting, enjoy the fights, and make some money.